Hey everyone, so now that you've gotten a chance to familiarize yourself with the camera through that diagram that explains each part of the camera, and we've talked about some important techniques like white balancing, in this video I want to take you guys through how to import your footage, how to get it from your computer into your editing software, and then a few very basic editing techniques. And then in the next video, we'll talk about how to export your footage out of the editing software, save it so that you can then upload it to YouTube, Vimeo, and such. So the first thing we will do is we're going to import our footage. So we'll go up here to File and then Import. You can also use Control-I to do this. And then for the purposes, and then you'll find the folder on your computer where your footage is saved. So make sure you name it something that's easy to find, that's distinct. So I have some footage here from a project I worked on a couple of months ago, and for our purposes, I'll just use a couple of those clips. So I've got all my clips here in this folder, and let's say I want to use this clip, Collision at Home, and this clip that I've labeled Good Short Clip. So to bring in multiple clips, I'll just press and hold Control on my keyboard, click on the clips that I want, and then click Open. And then Premiere will start to import those files. Since I only have 2 clips, it was pretty quick to import. And then once the clips are in Premiere, they will show up down here on the bottom left. All your clips will show up there when you import them. So let me start with this Collision at Home clip. In order to watch this, I just double click on the clip, and then it shows up in this kind of preview window up here in the top left. And then I can drag this little cursor here to scroll through the clip, and then I can play it. And let's say I find a piece of the clip that I know I want to use. I like that sound of him kicking the ball, so that's what I want to use. So let's say I want to start it back here at the beginning. The first thing you'll do is you'll set what's called an in point, and that is the start of the piece of the clip that you want to use. And to make an in point, you hit I on the keyboard, and then play it. And then let's say I want to stop it after he kicks the ball. So I pause the clip, and then I create an out point by hitting O on the keyboard. And what those in and those out points do is they tell Premiere that two seconds, that's what I want in my timeline. I don't want the whole clip, I just want that 2-second piece. And before I can bring it down and start editing it, I need to create a sequence. So I'll go back up to File, and then this first option, New, and then I go to this third option, Sequence, and I click on Sequence. And don't worry about all of these settings, just stick with the standard settings. You have to name your sequence. For our purposes, I'll just call it Kickball. And now I have a new sequence, and you'll see when I make a new sequence down here at the bottom, it gives me, this is my editing window, and it gives me all these options: video 3, video 2, video 1, audio 2, and audio 3. And for what we're doing, I just want to use video 1 and audio 2. So I will deselect the other options that I don't want. And I just have video 1 and video 2 selected, and you can tell they're selected because they're highlighted in blue. And then to get this piece of this clip that we in pointed and out pointed a second ago, I will hit V. And what that does is that just drops my clip down into the timeline. And you might say, wow, that's really small, I can hardly see that. That's because we are very far zoomed out on our timeline. And in order to zoom in, we hold down Control, and then your key 2 over from your P key, there's a little bracket. You click on that, and you can keep clicking, and that'll zoom in. And you can see we can get very far in on our timeline. And what that does is that helps us when we're trying to make very precise cuts. We want to be very zoomed in. To zoom out, we just use the open bracket 1 to the left, and that zooms us back out. So now we can see our clip. And then let's say I want to bring in that second clip that I imported. So we'll zoom all the way in, and we'll just move our cursor to the end of that first clip. And then I'll click on that clip that I imported earlier, play through it. And let's say I want to use her kicking the ball as well. So I'll go back to the start. That seems like a good starting point. I for an in point. And then after she kicks it, we stop it. O for an out point. Then we hit V again. And then there's our clip. So we now have our 2 clips in our timeline. So you know how to bring stuff down into your timeline. You know how to zoom in and zoom out. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was making cuts. Let's say I've decided that this second clip, this start here, or let's say the end here, I just want her kicking the ball. I want to stop it right there. Well, an easy way to get rid of the ending part of the clip that I don't want is right here in the center in your toolbar. The 4th one down, you have a razor tool. You click on that, and then you click where your cursor is, and it'll make a cut. And then if I go back up to this top selection tool, I've now split the clips. I can click on that second piece, hit delete, and that part of the clip is gone. And then all I have for that clip is just her kicking the ball. So those are a few things that you can do in Premiere. This was very basic. There's a lot more that we can get into, but for right now, that's the basics of importing and a few editing techniques.